go. I might just stand like so to keep from falling over. Y'all aren't gonna judge, right? You trust that I'm like actually good at this? All right, cool. Glad we're on the same page. Hi, and thanks for coming out. Let's give Sam another round of applause, because how good was that? And thank you also to Sam for hosting. So, as Sam said, I am Mandy Shunnarah. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm the author of the forthcoming book, Midwest Shreds, Skaters and Skateparks in Middle America. It is part travelogue and part cultural history of skating and skateparks in the Midwest. Because when most people think of skateparks, they think of California and the West Coast, and the fact is that we have an extremely rich skating tradition here. For example, did you know that the biggest skate park in the country is actually in Des Moines? Des Moines, people. Did you know that rollerblades were invented in Minnesota? True story. And did you know that for much of the 20th century, the Chicago Roller Skate Company manufactured and sold roller skates around the world, and now that tradition is being carried on by a company in Minnesota. Shout out to Rydell. And did you know that one of the most famous privately owned skate parks featured in multiple Tony Hawk Pro Skater games is in Appalachian, Ohio? So, that is what my book is about, and I'm going to read to you today from the Columbus chapter, and it is an ode to our city's only indoor skate park, which is called Skate Naked. An ode to Skate Naked. The sound is something like a scrape, maybe a rough grained sandpaper. At first, you can't help noticing how loud it is, how loud you are riding on these 8 roller skate wheels. Though rollerblading is still a thing and skateboarding is certainly more common, I prefer to go to the skate parks in the good old-fashioned roller skates that I grew up with. I learned to roller skate as a kid at the rink, so it only seemed natural that that's what I would take to the skate park. I've been delighted by the rise in popularity of skate park roller skating since the pandemic, and I'm thrilled that I'm not alone when I go out now. Eventually, you stop noticing the sound because it's always there, like the hum of the city at night, the throbbing that's proof of life. And like the heartbeat of a city, you only come to notice it when it's not there. Columbus, Ohio is a city with 1 indoor skate park. And in the winter, when the outdoor skate parks have ice frozen in the bottom of the bowls and snow on the tops of the rails, the indoor skate park, Skate Naked, comes to be a crowded place. There's a camaraderie among those of us who are willing to leave our warm homes to drive to this chilly warehouse in the middle of no man's land near the airport to skate, when some days it's already dark by the time Skate Naked opens at 3 p.m. No matter what we ride, whether it's skateboards, scooters, rollerblades, roller skates, we're all itching to put wheels under our feet and throw our bodies off ramps when we've convinced ourselves against better judgment that we're actually not that fragile. And though Columbus is not a part of the Rust Belt, cities in the Midwest seem to exist in the popular imagination as a land of decay, the skeletons of former factories, the husks of great industry packed up and gone away. People outside the Midwest see this curated tragedy porn on the news and see misfortune, sadness, and defeat. They don't see what I see, what we see, possibility. I moved to Columbus from Birmingham, Alabama, a city that has no skate parks to speak of. If I wanted to skate in Birmingham, I had to do it in the streets or at the rink. So while Skate Naked doesn't look like much with its flaking plywood ramps that'll jab splinters in your booty, it's a world of possibility for me. From the outside, Skate Naked is a nondescript building. Its many bay doors, high ceilings, and cinder block walls indicate that the businesses there once involved 18-wheelers. The floors that were first made smooth for forklifts now give skaters speed, enough to feel the force of the wind push your hair back when you drop off the larger ramps. Jeff Trayson and John Hammond, the owners of Skate Naked, had the vision to see what that old warehouse could be, the indoor skate park Columbus so desperately needed. What was first the Buckeye potato chip plant in the 1950s, then later a golf cart sales place, then a windows and siding shop, was transformed by their hands. Quote, When we first saw it, it was empty. Nobody else would have looked at this place and thought it was awesome, John said, speaking of his gut feeling that this was where their park should be. I was like, we can do this. We just need to paint it, Jeff added, laughing, knowing there was so much more work ahead of them than just painting. On the whole, Midwesterners are practical people, dedicated to function and resourcefulness. Aesthetics are secondary, or, in Skate Naked's case, hardly considered at all. With the exception of a spray-painted mural above the big bowl, the park is gritty, both in the literal and figurative sense. The cinder block walls are painted black, and in some cases just slapped up with plywood. The roof above both bowls leaks, so you have to carve fast on your feet if you want to avoid wiping out on a rainy day. The sheets coating the wood ramps are often flaking, and woe be unto you if you are the unlucky soul who applies just the right amount of pressure for your wheel to pop through to the other side. And I'm always surprised by the creative places patrons find to make their DIY trash cans, behind a ramp, inside of a wall, where some plywood is peeled up, or just the edges of any old platform. And I never leave without a deep coat of grime under my fingernails. And I love it. There is no place I would rather be. Skate Naked feels like home in a way that only a place abundant with memories can. It's the place where I learned to drop in on a ramp, where I learned to pump back and forth on a half pipe, where I learned to jump over stairs, and where I made my first roller skate friends. And it is the place where one day, God forbid if I don't die trying, I will drop into that big bowl and get a couple of good carbs in. The winter of 2020/2021 was especially brutal. There was a period of just under 3 weeks when it didn't get above freezing, so the snow never melted. And when it finally did get above freezing threshold, it was only marginally so. The streets and skate parks turned into a slippery slush that was treacherous even to walk on, and through it all, there Skate Naked was, a beacon, as long as you weren't too afraid of the coronavirus. I'm 30 now, which is young enough to quiet the voice in my head that tells me I'm gonna break every single bone in my face if I fall off that 6-foot ramp or crash into that rail. But 30 is also old enough where I'm cognizant of my mortality, and I fear being intubated because I was so desperate to skate that I went to the city's only indoor skate park and got coronavirus. So I hardly skated at all that winter, and my body ached with longing for the changing elevation of the ramps. Every night I dreamed about skating, nailing tricks that I had never done in real life, and getting the kind of air that's only imaginable unless your name is Tony Hawk. Even in sleep, I could feel the texture of the ramp, the heart dropping into your stomach sensation of flinging myself down its slope. And in the dreams, the panic that hits the moment when you know you're going to crash was absent, as was the pain of feeling the wind knocked out of you when you fall hard. And in the morning, I would search for the bruises that I wear like badges, trophies, and battle scars. The bruises that purpled my shins and thighs and elbows, and especially my buttocks, where, more often than not, there was a bruise imprinted in the shape of a skate wheel, a derby kiss, as it's called, deep enough to qualify as a hematoma. I miss these wounds. I don't know that I would have discovered my love of skate parks if I lived anywhere but the Midwest, Columbus in particular. You can be a beginner here. Columbus is constantly reinventing itself, and over the decades has gone from farm town to corporate business haven to one of the fastest growing cities from the country. And though I'm from the South, I can tell you that Southern hospitality is a myth. I have found that people here are much, much more kind. There have been kind strangers who waited patiently for me to overcome my fears at the skate park and creating space for me to learn. There's little pressure to get out of the bowl with the quickness if I'm still learning how the curves flow. There's little pressure to get off the top of the ramp if I just need a minute to talk myself into stepping over and letting that slope propel me downward. I came to Columbus because I fell in love, but me getting to fulfill my childhood dream of shredding skate parks is a welcome bonus. I could be a beginner here. I could roll, fall, and collect my bruises like Girl Scout patches, of which I have a sash full, get up and do it all over again with minimal dirty looks. Columbus allowed me to learn. I made a home in Columbus and found my skating home in the process. I skate because I live here. I keep living here because I can skate here. Thank you so much.